In this video, I'll show you how to configure the mobile version of your website built with Elementor's Flexbox container. Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Michaela. Before we begin the tutorial, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, so that's it. Let's proceed to the screen of my computer now.
So come on guys, I've separated some topics here to teach you how to configure mobile with the new Flexbox container technology. For those of you who haven't seen it, there's a video in which I taught you more about desktop configuration. I taught you everything you need to know about the container in that video when the update was released, and I'll leave it on the card and in the description so you can go and check it out, okay? I decided to make a more detailed one for mobile because although I taught it in that other video, a lot of people are having a lot of difficulty, so I made this one more specific. And I'm here on this domain of the Nail Pro course, which is a landing page that I taught you how to create on the channel. And I'm going to leave you a recommendation so you can go and learn how to create it. I taught you how to create it with Flexbox container, okay? I've made a separate page here, and I've left some examples of a few things to explain to you. The first thing we're going to learn about here is the header, right? Here in the header, as you know, if you've made the header from the outside, to access it, you hover your mouse over Elementor, click on header, and then the first thing I'm going to show you doesn't necessarily have to do with Flexbox container, but it does have to do with mobile, is that when you click here, these three screen options appear for us to configure. The desktop, which is on the computer, this one, which is on the tablet, and this one, which is on the normal cell phone. But Elementor has many other line breaks, which we call breakpoints, which are screen options that you can configure here. So, to display other screen options, if you want to configure them too, you can go here to the WordPress admin panel, go to Elementor, Settings, Experiments, and then look for breakpoints, and then click on Activate. Then you save it, then you come back here to the Elementor editor. You'll only have to do it once. You'll click right here in responsive mode. And up here, there will be this little gear. You click on it, and then there will be breakpoints, right? Breakpoints. Then you come and activate the others. So there's the cell phone and tablet. There's the extra cell phone, which is the horizontal cell phone, right? The cell phone lying down. There's the extra tablet, which is also the tablet lying down. There's the laptop, right? Which is a smaller computer screen. There's the wide screen, which is a television screen, right? A very large screen. You can even set the width of the dots here. I've left it at automatic, which is the default they take. But if you want, you can set a width here that you think is appropriate, okay? And then you click on refresh, then you click on reload. And then if you come here, you'll have all these breakpoints to configure, okay? I'm going to use the most common one, the one we're used to, which is the phone here. But as I said, if you want, you can click on the others and configure each one, okay? I'm going to configure the standard cell phone, and here you can see I have three items here. I have the menu, I have the logo, and I have a button here on the side. And to make them, I took that container with the little arrow to the side, which the items are in the line configuration, right? One next to the other. And then by placing them here on mobile, they're one below the other because they're taking up all the spacing here, right, of the line. And that's why they're breaking the line. But to place them next to each other, you can click here and set a size here for them to be, okay? Here, in the case of the menu, I wanted to have more space, and I wanted to have less space for the little menu, that is the logo to have more space, and the little menu to have less space. So, for example, I'm going to come here to the logo item, I'm going to come to advanced, I'm going to come to customize, here it is in pixel, right? I'm going to put it here in percentage, which is the easiest way here for us to calculate. And then I'm going to put, for example, that I want it to be 70%. And then here in the menu item, I'm going to come to advanced. I'll put the percentage here. I'll put custom. Oops, I put it wrong here. It's here in width. I'll put custom. I'll put percentage. And then here, theoretically, it would have to be 30, right? But there's spacing between the widgets that also counts, right? So this space between the image and the item, right? And the other item, in this case the menu, also counts as spacing here. So the sum of 70 of these and 30 of these would be 100. But then there's the space we have to count, which is the space between the items. And this space we can see here, right? Here in the main container, here in gap. Okay? So, ideally, we should put it here as a percentage too, and we should put a percentage value to be the value between the items. So, for example, I'm going to put a percentage, and then if it's 170 plus 30 will give 101. So I'm not getting side by side because they're going over 100%. So we have to reduce 1. So I'm going to come here later. I'm going to leave 69. See? So we've consumed 100% here, 69 plus 1 of the gap, right? Which is the space between the items, and another 30. Okay? And then you can come here to this image, right? Align it, configure its size, and the same thing here in the menu. One observation, the menu, generally, if you don't configure it, it stays like this, stretching the section and appearing only here. In order for it to be on the whole screen, you have to activate the full width option. See? And then just like that, it stays right here. It doesn't expand the section, it doesn't look ugly, and it's the full width of the screen. Okay? Generally, guys, I recommend leaving just the logo and the menu here in the header. When there are social media icons and buttons, it's best to hide them so that the header doesn't get too big and clutter up your phone. So if you want to hide something on your cell phone so that it doesn't show up, you click here. In this case, I'm clicking on the button. Come to Advanced, come here to Responsive, and click here, on Hide for cell phones. As we've activated other screen sizes, we have to leave it hidden for cell phones, tablets, extra tablets. Only the television, laptop, desktop ones we leave, but all the tablet and cell phone ones we deactivate, right? And then it's kind of erased, but if we close the editor here, we can see how it's really going to look on the cell phone, which is like this, okay? And then we can leave it configured for the cell phone. The other part I'm going to teach you is about banners. Here, I'm in the editor of an Elementor page, and I've set up 3 types of options to show you. This one, right, which is a background image, a title, a text, and another image here, right? It can be a banner, right? It can be configured as a banner, or it can be a section. In this case, it's an about section. There's this one, which is just a background image, in which case all the text, the design of the image was done in the artwork itself. So there's nothing here in Elementor, just the background image. And I made this one with a carousel. Okay? Everyone has a different way of setting it up for mobile. In this case, well, I'm going to put it here on mobile. I put it here on mobile, and then you realize, for example, that I have the title, the text, and the image at the bottom. If you're in a situation where you need the image, you know, the item that's down here to appear first, you're not going to come here and upload it up here, you know, and bring it up here, because that will disfigure it. Anything you change manually doesn't work. If you delete it from one thing and put it in another, it won't work. It will work to adjust for both if you use the settings here to adjust, you know? So, for example, if you want me to have 2 containers in this case, as if they were 2 columns. If you want this one to come first on mobile, you have to do it like this. You have to come to the main container, then you come here in the direction, and then you click here on reverse columns. See? Then this bottom container is here first, and the other one is like this. See? And then you can do this reversal without having to remove it from where it was, right? Just with the settings. Because that way, when you leave it here on the desktop, it continues with the normal configuration. You haven't deleted anything. Another thing, you see I've put a background image here. There's the woman on the side, and for mobile, you can come here in style, click here and upload another version for mobile, like I've put here. You see the woman is down here. So it was another version that I made with the image with a width of 1080, and the height, as this section was quite big, I made it 2700 high. Okay? Because if I put the image I used of the woman on the side, in this case this one, it wouldn't work. She wouldn't even appear here. See? So it has to be an adjusted image. So you can come here, select another image, and then as you're configured here to appear on mobile, it'll be fine. On mobile, it'll appear the one with the woman underneath, and on desktop, the one with the woman on the side. Okay? When it's like this here, it's just one artwork. It's just one image. when you put it here on mobile? You can set its width here like this. In this case, I've set the minimum height here for the container section, so you can reduce the height and then theoretically it would be fine, but it's not advisable to do this because as you can see, this is an artwork that was made for the computer. So if I reduce it to be visible here, it becomes very small with poor visibility. The ideal in these cases is you can even leave the same height as here if you want, and then you can also make an image adapted for mobile, which is 1080 wide and high, depending on the size you want it to be. These are the images I made for the dropshipping website, and there's one adapted for mobile, which is this one. See? In the case of the text, it's not on the side, it's on top, so it's more visible. See? And then in this case, it was still big. So in this case, we could make it a bit smaller, but you see it's much more visible. We made it smaller. And it became much more visible because the artwork was done differently. So, in the case of an image like this, you can do it like this. I'll even delete it here so we can see this one of the banner, the rotating banner. In this case, the rotating banner, if we come here on mobile, it has the same configuration. Here you can reduce the height. And then theoretically it's fine here for mobile, but the image is too small. It's not very usable. The ideal is also for you to come and put an image that is adapted for the cell phone, 1080 wide, 1200, 1300 high, depending on the size you want it to be. But there's no way you can come here and change the image. See? If I change it to this one, which is adapted for cell phones, it will look good here, but if I put it on the desktop, it won't look good. This banner widget here doesn't accept this configuration, understand? So what do we have to do? We have to duplicate it. We come here to this main container, duplicate it, right? And then we leave this one here to appear only on the computer. So we hide it on the cell phone, on the tablet. We click here on the main container, go to Advanced, come here to Responsive, and hide it for mobile, extra mobile, tablet, extra tablet. Then it turns gray like this. See? That means it won't be showing up on mobile. This one is showing up on the cell phone. Then we can come here and swap the images. Put the adapted image on this one and this one. See if the height is right? See if the height is right, if you can see it, if you need to lower the height a bit to make it more appropriate. So you organize it the way you think is best. Great. And then you update it. So we have an updated banner here for mobile, but if we put it on the desktop, it's still showing up here. So we have to do the same thing as we did with the one above, only the other way around. We come here to the main, advanced, responsive container, and hide it for desktop for computers. So we hide the one for television, desktop, and laptop, and then, like this one only shows up for computers, and the other one only shows up for cell phones. See? So there are these three situations here. When the banner items are made with Elementor, when the image is just one image, and when it's a banner. So there are these three ways of adapting banners here. So we've already talked about hiding for mobile and desktop, headers, banners. Now let's talk about spacing. Hey, I made this item here, which is an item I took from the landing page, which has these three little boxes here. And for desktop, they're set up just right. And then the width, the sum of the width here to be next to each other is always 100. So in this case here, I've come up with 32, 32, 32. And then the sum together with the spacing here was 100, right? But then if I put them here on the mobile, look how they are. They don't have to be next to each other because it doesn't work on mobile, does it? It's too much text. So we have to return them to 100% so that they're the full width. So here we come to the item, right? In this case, I used an icon box. So I have to go to this item here. Then I come in advanced, I come here, right? In width. Then I leave it in custom. And then I come here to percentage and then I put percentage 100. See? Then it's all over the width of the screen, all over the spacing of the screen. In this other one too, I come here, advanced width, customized percentage, and I leave it at 100. This one is the same. Custom, percentage, 100. See? And then one is next to the other. If it was an episode where you needed them to be next to each other, you do it like this. First, I'm going to explain how you would do it here on the desktop because I explained it in the other video, but I saw that a lot of people didn't pay attention. So here's the deal. I'm going to take a container with the little arrow to the side. I want them all to be next to each other, just like here. So what do? I'll take an icon here, I'll put it here. Then I'll make some settings. For example, I'm going to come here in advanced, I'm going to put 40 padding so that it looks like a little box. I'm going to come here to border, I'm going to put a shadow here on this border. I'll put it rounded. I've made a little box. Then, if I come here and duplicate it, it'll be next to each other. Next to each other. So you can imagine here, beautiful, right? It's reached the boundary of the column, right? So it's going to break the line, but oh no. It continues infinitely. For it to be able to break the line, you have to come here in the main container and you have to come here in wrapping, which is precisely the configuration for breaking the line. See? And that way, when it reaches the spacing limit here, it breaks the line. In order to determine how many boxes per line you want to appear, you have to do that calculation, which is, for example, the width, total width here, 100%. If you want 4 boxes, you first have to count the gap, which is the spacing between them. So here you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Up to here. How many spaces are there between them? 1, 2, 3, right? So first the gap, which is the spacing between the boxes. It's always one less. If it's, for example, 5, it's always 4 spaces apart. If it's 10, it's always 9. It's always like that. Anyway, we want 4 on the same line, so 100% minus 4. That leaves 96. 96 divided by 4, that's the number of boxes. Well, each box has to be 24%. And here the gap, which is the spacing between them, we have to put it in percent and put 1%. And then we come here, in each box, we come here in width, personalized, and we put 24. Then we can even, as they have the same settings, copy and paste the style, paste the style, and paste the style. See, there are only 4 on the line, and then you can paste the style into the others too. They will occupy the same space. See, I'll even exclude those from here. When you do that here, when they're in the same container, they stick together. They have no space between them. There are a few ways around this. Then you can go to one of the items, for example, this item here, in advanced. Then you unlink the margin value, which is the spacing outside the box. And here in the top margin, you put 30, because there will be a space between it and the top one. See? Then you can copy and paste the style into the others. It just goes beyond the boundary of the container. You can come here, come in advanced, put a padding space here, or you can increase the minimum height of the box. Let me remove this padding space. You can increase the minimum height of the box here. And then you can come here to the main container. And here in align items, you leave them aligned to the center. See? Then they're aligned to the center. In fact, it's by aligning them to the center that you can see their real space here. See? So, then you can decide whether you want to make it higher or lower. What I really recommend doing is coming here and padding it. Then it'll have a better space here. More structured, more accurate. See? So that's how you do it. And then, to put it here on mobile, what interests us in this class? The same thing we talked about. They're all stuck together. All 4 of them can't fit on the same line. We first have to come here to the container and reduce the padding. Let's make the padding about 20. That's it. If we want to keep all 4 on the same line, we have to reduce the size of the box. Then we come here to each of the items. For example, let's leave 10 padding. We copy and paste the style into each one. Then they fit next to each other. You can also reduce the size of the icon. Then it's set up just for mobile here, see? Item size, copy, paste. If you want to leave just 2, for example, next to each other, then you have to change the width. Come here, come advanced, width, customized, put it here in percentage. And then you put, for example, 49, then copy and paste it into the other one, then they're next to each other. 49, because there has to be gap spacing here. In this case, we could even increase the gap spacing to 2. Because 49 plus 49 is 98. That leaves 2, see? And then you can do this configuration on the others too. Just paste the style here. And then here in the same way they'll stick to each other. Then you have to go to the bottom item and put in a margin. Oops, I'm putting it on everything, right? Untie it, put a margin on it, see? About 12. Copy and paste the style. And that's how you can, using these settings, to delimit, to put in the spacing you want. This one of columns or containers on the same line, which is exactly what I'm teaching you here. I've already taught you how to reverse the position, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Here in the main container and this one, right? You click here and it inverts the position of the columns, okay? So basically, this is what you need to learn in order to be able to configure your desktop, your mobile here, adapting it correctly. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, leave me a like here. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell. And that's it. Hugs and see you next time. Bye.